What's going on? My name is Andres Tagliaferro, or you can just call me Tags. And in this video, I want to go over 3 lessons that I've learned through experience, reading books, living life that have really changed the way I think and the way I operate in the world that we live in. So the first transformative lesson that I've learned comes out of this book called The Courage to be Disliked. And it talks about the idea that when we live in a world built upon interpersonal relationships, we have to understand the separation of tasks. The general idea of the separation of tasks simply means that you are only in control of what you can do. What is your task? A lot of us tend to overthink or get overwhelmed by stuff that isn't even our task to do. Instead of focusing on the things that we're supposed to accomplish, we tend to intrude on other people's tasks and try to make their tasks our own. Or we get upset that they're not doing something that we might do if we were in their place. The example the book sets is a parent and child relationship. And the book is really cool because it's a conversation between a student and a philosopher. And so the philosopher tells the student, why did you hate school growing up? And then the student goes on to say that, like, well, my parents, they kind of like told me I had to study and I had to do this or that. And if I didn't do it, I would get punished for it. The philosopher says, okay, so maybe it's not that you don't like studying. It's that you don't like how you were taught to study. You weren't shown how to like. And this was an intrusion on the child's task from the parents. Instead of the parents teaching the student how important it is to study and showing them fun ways to study and showing them that if they study this, this, or that, they can achieve this, this, or that, it became a do this or be punished. And because the parents didn't allow the kid to really fully do his task and imposed on their task of studying by creating these rules and regulations that made it unpleasant to do, it not only affected the child negatively, it impacted the parents negatively because their relationship wasn't the same since. This is something we do in our relationships all of the time. Instead of simply trusting somebody to do what they're supposed to do correctly and only worrying about our own problems, we tend to try to help somebody who doesn't need the help or maybe doesn't want the help. And we create this strain in the relationship, whether it's romantic relationships, whether it's personal relationships, family, friends, or business relationships. This is something that we do. It's part of human nature. And for me, the lesson came in understanding that I am only in control of what I am in control over. And I have saved myself so much heartache, headache, and money, frankly, by enacting this idea in my life. If I try to focus too much of the outcome of maybe this email blast of the local businesses I want to work with, then I'm gonna be too caught up on doing something that I can't control. And that'll take time away from doing the things that I can control. If I'm giving and I'm generous with an expectation of return, hoping that they do something because I did something to them, that's an intrusion on their task. And again, it's this constant deception that we put ourselves under, that if we just think about this thing, even though we know it's out of our control hard enough, then it'll change. The truth within the idea of the separation of tasks is understanding that, like, not only are there things that you need to do that are your thing, but there are things that they need to do that are their thing. And you don't need to worry about other people. You don't need to worry about results that are out of your control. All you can do is control what you can control. And that's the biggest lesson. Anything out of the scope of what you can do with your own hands, with your own mind, you really shouldn't worry about.
Okay, before you keep watching the video, I need to let you guys know about my newsletter. It's a free sign-up newsletter where you'll receive a weekly email where I go deeper into, some of these ideas that I make these videos about. So if you're a reader and you like reading, that's a format that you enjoy consuming, I recommend that you go and sign up. The link will be in my description. And yeah, if you're subscribed to my channel, you're gonna love what we talk about in the newsletter. Click the link and sign up. It's completely free. But I won't keep you any longer. Let's get back to the video.
So lesson number 2, this is a universal truth that will completely change how you live your day-to-day life. And that is understanding the compound effect. There's this book by Darren Hardy where he speaks about it in business terms, in the scope of business, how everything that you do, the little things that you do every day repeatedly over and over again, will eventually compound and build into something better and have an end result. Every little thing, your habits, everything that you do consciously, subconsciously, little by little, compounds over time and results in something much bigger than the small action you were taking every day. And this is super important, and the book talks about this. So if you want to understand this concept even deeper, go buy the book, The Compound Effect. But the lesson lies in understanding that it doesn't need to be a big movement or a big change or a big client or big paycheck to impact your life in a big way. Every small thing not only adds up, but multiplies over time. Let's say you want to lose weight. Working out 30 minutes a day will lead to a different outcome than sitting on the couch for 30 minutes a day. There are two actions of the same amount of time that lead to completely different lifestyles at the end of 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. And this applies to every area of your life. Telling your girlfriend, telling your boyfriend, I love you every day, making that a part of how you interact with your spouse or person, significant other, is gonna lead to a huge different outcome in a year than if you tell them I love you once a month, or if you don't tell them I love you, right? If you don't show affection. This can be added in every area of your life. The point is that every action, no matter how big, will compound. And so it's up to us to build healthy habits and repeatable actions that will lead to a healthier outcome. Because if we're not doing something that's helpful, then we're probably doing something that isn't. So it's our job to fix that and make it positive. And that's really the rule that has taught me. It's not only to know that like, oh, things build up over time, because that's almost kind of common sense. The idea that it's our responsibility to instill those small actions and habits in our life. I do things every day that even though they might seem small, like posting to my Threads account random thoughts and writing, that action of spending 15 minutes a day writing is making me a better writer, as opposed to if I wasn't doing that. The compound effect is another lesson that has yielded results in every area of my life that I think no matter what you do or what your trade is, will make you better at that thing. And the last lesson I want to leave you guys with is simple, and I think often hyperbole or repeated too much to where it's become known. We've been desensitized to this concept, but I think its true meaning means so much, and that is to embrace failure, to treat failure as an asset and not a liability. To do anything in life, to find a significant other, to build a family, to start a business, to get a job, we need to take the first step. And a lot of us who don't understand this concept of embracing failure fear failing. And so we never take that first step because we're scared of how we'll be judged if we start doing this thing and it doesn't work out. Or maybe it's not even about other people. Maybe we just don't want to feel the pain of losing in something. Maybe there's something in your life where a loss was such a big deal and you didn't have a healthy relationship with loss. And I think that the mind shift that has to occur is for you to almost not just embrace failure, but welcome it and almost want to lose. You know, Gary Vee says this thing that I think is super interesting. He says like, I want to lose. I want to go out and lose because I know that it's going to make for a bigger story in my legacy. And I think that's kind of a grand idea, but I've done so many things in my personal life that I can attest to that other people might look as failure, that I have looked at as a complete win because it's taught me so much. That's the thing about failure. Like, we can't expect everything that we do to go well. That's just not how it goes. For most people, the first idea that we have leads to another idea thanks to failure. Leads to some kind of stairway into the bigger purpose. And if we don't have the ability to look at the macro in that way, I believe that it'll keep us from changing and evolving and trying and taking risks, because we'll just be afraid of not growing. And the fact is that the truth is the opposite. The only way to grow is through failure. An example I'll give is I started a podcast back in 2021. I started this podcast not with the intention of growing it to 1 million listeners and the biggest podcast in the world. No, I simply wanted to learn. I said, you know what? If this becomes something where it is something successful, great. But if it doesn't, I know I'm gonna learn so much. I learned so much about audio. I learned so much about how to mix audio, how to post-produce audio through that. I learned how to lead interviews. I'm not professionally trained in interviewing or speaking in that matter. And that forced me to speak to people I don't speak to. I had 13 guests in a span of 15 episodes, and 2-hour episodes. I had to understand and learn quickly in real time how to not just be prepared for conversations, but how to be able to steer conversations in specific ways, how to talk to somebody in a way that emits this kind of emotion, because I know the viewer might feel more connected to it in this way, how to create a hospitable environment where they can talk about the things that are heavy on their hearts. And I was fully aware that I might fail and it might be horrible, but I knew that at the end of the day, I would learn something from each little podcast. And so when 15 podcasts came out and I didn't see any more learning out of it, and I knew that it was taking so much energy, because I wasn't afraid of failure, I decided to cut it. I decided to just stop production. I decided to just step away. I know that if I was scared of looking like a failure to other people, I wouldn't have been able to make that choice and go and do my next thing and go and learn my next set of lessons. And so that's something I want you guys to take away from this video. Not only be okay with failure, but embrace it. It's an empowering thing, and it's all in the eye of the beholder. We've all seen the hip hop references, I turned my loss into a win, you know what I'm saying? All of that. There's truth in it. So as we enter this new year, we're in January 2024, try to internalize these ideas and these lessons and read the books I referenced. And if you got some value out of this and it helped you grow as a creative or made you smile, laugh, whatever, consider subscribing, liking, and letting me know how you feel after listening to all of this. Are you gonna apply some rules to your life, some lessons? Are you gonna try to have a secondhand learning experience, or was this horrible? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. If you are somebody who enjoys these kinds of videos and you're into productivity, mental health, and content creation, then join the community, hit the subscribe button. I always say this is not me just talking to a camera or talking to you. And it's not just you talking to me, this is you guys talking to each other. So being able to go in the comments and be a part of a community that is united in the idea of growing and improving and all of that stuff, I think is a powerful thing that I'm excited to build alongside you guys. So hit the subscribe button and like. We're going at a pace it's never felt this good before. So now is the perfect time to join the team and join the community. I hope you guys have an amazing 2024, that all of the goals you have are met, and that you're able to have the discipline and wisdom to follow through with everything you've promised yourself. But that's the video. My name is Andres Tagliaferro, but you already know what to call me. And I hope you guys have an amazing year. And remember to stay grateful.